I'd love to shift gears a little bit and talk about CS's role sort of across the customer journey. And maybe we actually start on like the sales side.
Mhm.
Like what's the right way for CS to partner in an actual deal before it becomes a customer? I feel like sales always wants CS to come in and be like, look how amazing your onboarding is going to be. It's all going to be great. They're going to deal with you.
No,
Like,
that is
what's
a
the right way to
hard
do it?
no.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
called That's Your Job. Quit trying to put it on us. Yeah, sales loves to do that. They love being like, oh, why don't you give the demo? You're so much better at it. It's like, okay, you're going to give me part of your commission. CS always has way too much on their plate, is the fact. And I've been in sales, and it's a lot more glory for a lot less work. It's hard work. I don't prefer it, but people don't understand how much work CSMs have to do. CS is post sale. It cuts off there. The way they should work together, there should be a sales CS handoff, which is, it doesn't have to be crazy. Some CS people will be like, here's a 3-page document I want. No, get out of here. They're not doing it. Who are the key players? What are they trying to achieve? Is there anything they hate and like red flags? Is there anything really different in the contract I need to know about? Okay, like give us our goals, who the key players are, and we should be okay. I also think the best way for CS to work with sales and marketing is to give them feedback about what customers are saying about the product, like the positive things they're saying. In marketing and sales, you have personas and you have, these cards of like, okay, this type of persona needs this messaging, or this role of someone at this kind of company. Here's what we say to them. CSMs are the one with that info. If we say to you, okay, well, you have a lot of customers in manufacturing. The ones who are in manufacturing, here's what they say they like about the product. Here's what they say has changed and revolutionized things for themselves. If you use that customer language for those specific kind of customers, there's going to be that instant resonance. And it's something that you're not going to get unless you are talking to those customers. I mean, even with gong calls or whatever tool you want to use for that, just record those little moments of where they're saying like, yeah, we really love this, and use that in your messaging, not as a quote, but as like as a template.
And I find those tidbits like so helpful too as a founder, and like thinking through like, the product roadmap, right? Because it's either like, all right, we have a use case that's working really well. Like, let's run towards that and build more stuff for the
Yeah.
manufacturing segment or whatever. Like, maybe that should be our whole company as we go after manufacturing. Or like, let's actually run towards the stuff that's like not working well and try and fix all the things, And so that's a separate type of decision. But like, it's important. Like the voice of the customer is like so essential to building a successful company, I believe. So. Yeah.
And that gets harder the bigger you get, because the more feedback you're getting, what tends to happen is that there isn't an organized way to go through it and to communicate it. And so what happens a lot is, CSMs will fill out some sort of ticket or feature request and be like, here you go, here's what they want, and throw it over the wall to product. And it's like, okay, we really, and I do tend to think that we need to own that better. It's okay to have it in a big old Excel sheet, but then run it through like a chat GPT or something like that to say like, all right, what were the main requests here? And also looking at, who they were from. Was it from, the mom and pop place down the street, or was it from Amazon, who makes up 80% of your revenue? Those things all matter. But it's like, is this going to be 70% of our customers want this? Or is like one guy keeps saying he hates the color green and wishes we wouldn't use it for buttons?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I think, I mean, this comes back to company maturity too. Like, I think in the
Yeah.
early days, like we just, right now at Doc, we have a Slack channel. We dump all of the feedback in,
Yeah.
and then it's sort of on me to figure out what's most important. But then like at Lattice, we got to the point where it was like, okay, we had a monthly, quarterly meeting where CS, sales,
Hmm.
product, marketing, each had their own little spreadsheet, each had their own stacked rank things with columns
Yeah.
of like, customer size, who requested it and how often it was requested. And like, it became a much more of
Yeah.
a sort of scientific process, if you will. And then even that, you got to be careful of like over engineering towards that. But
Yeah.
it at least wasn't like, all right, we're paying attention to this one random guy who's really
Yeah,
bothering us about
exactly.
something.
And I
Yeah.
mean, we're not logical beings. We have recency bias. We have like, I heard this more often. I was talking to a group of people about like, which do you think you're more at risk of dying of, a shark attack or a falling plane part? 30 times more likely to be hit by a falling debris from a plane.
Really?
Right. But you don't hear about that as often. So you don't think
Right.
it's more likely, right? Because it's much more publicized when there's a shark attack. But we don't necessarily, and that's just us not hearing about it. We could still hear about it, but because we're not thinking about it and it's not something that we've noticed or we feel is relevant to us, it'll still go right over our head. So we can try, but it's still not going to be scientific. And I think that there's a more important part of this where if you're going to be constantly giving feature requests and explaining what customers are mad about, um, you need to be making sure in customer success that you are giving that feedback of what customers really like as well too, because it's really easy to have customer success be coming in and calling your baby ugly all day. It's like they don't like this, they're complaining about this because that's their perspective. That's what they're hearing the most. They're not hearing from the people who call up and, are just like, hey, CSM, I just wanted you to know we love our product. Like people don't do that. But it's just no one's going to listen to you if you tell them they suck all day long. They're going to be like, you have bad judgment.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, that's like the hardest part of building a company is you hear so much
Yeah,
negative feedback
I
of
know.
like this bug, this thing, that thing. And it's
Yeah.
like, you just look for these little glimmers of, oh, wow, they're happy or
Yeah.
this is working and stuff. And so, yeah, it's a funny thing. And I have the benefit of doing this a little bit once before. So I sort of know that that's like the game. But if I didn't, I'd be like, oh God, like, you sort of, it just gives
Right.
you, anxiety. So it's the psychology of it all is really, really interesting. Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on it.